Utilitarianism is the ethical theory that focuses on the results or the intentions of actions. Utilitarianism is a consequentialist ethics. The goodness of decisions and acts are determined by their consequences. No act is ever right or wrong in all cases in every situation. It will all depend on the consequences. This means an action is right as long as it can produce the greater good or greater happiness, even if in the process it reduces the happiness of the few. Utilitarianism was popularized by Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mill, and has its roots in the Greek philosophy of Epicurus. All agree that happiness is the greatest good. Therefore, the goodness of an action should be measured by the happiness or pleasure it produces. Happiness, according to Bentham, must be understood in terms of pleasure and the absence of pain. Unhappiness is understood as pain or the deprivation of pleasure. We should seek pleasure and avoid pain. This is what is good. Utilitarianism would say that an action is right if it results in the happiness of the greatest number of people in a society or a group. It is a theory of morality which advocates actions that foster happiness or pleasure and opposes actions that cause unhappiness or pain. When used for making social, economic, or political decisions, a utilitarian philosophy can aim for the betterment of society. Our government is very utilitarian. It bases its decisions on the interests of the majority. Our capitalist economy is also utilitarian. When suppliers produce the things that people demand, these are the things that are good, the things that makes the consumers happy. Utilitarianism holds that one must act in order to deliver the least pain or the most pleasure for the greatest number of people. But this also means that the most vile and evil acts become acceptable as long as it is for the good of the majority. It is popular for producing hypotheses that presents moral dilemmas. Example, suppose you are a witness to a runaway train and only you can switch the tracks so that it will run over either one child on one railroad or 5 children on another railroad. What would you do? To place it simply, how many would you rather die? 1 child or 5 children? Utilitarianism commands that you save the 5 children. You probably feel this idea doesn't seem right, but we do this all the time. An example is the modernization of public transportation, which has affected poor jeepney drivers. We don't scamper to their side because we know the program is for the greater commuting public. Most TV programs are garbage because the majority of viewers desire this. This is the happiness of the masses. So the act of producing these kinds of TV shows is good. There are 3 main challenges to utilitarianism. One is the difficulty in identifying what is the ultimate good for the majority. It's like when the state tries to decide whether to commit funds for healthcare or education, or decide which is best for all, the economy or health and safety. Shall we allow people to earn a living or keep them at home during the pandemic? It is also impossible to know the entire consequences of our actions. In the train and children dilemma, for example, any of the children we save could grow up to be a serial killer or perhaps the next Antichrist. Another challenge is the end does not justify the means. Imagine, for example, having to choose between your child's life and the life of a very intelligent and talented scientist. No matter what, it is the natural love and obligation of a parent to protect their child, and no amount of scientific or moral reasoning can go against this. Perhaps the most saddening is utilitarianism treats people as just means to an end, devoid of human dignity. human rights, respect, and liberty are thrown out of the window without utmost consideration to human life. It simplifies moral decisions to a numbers game. As long as the consequence results to less pain and greater happiness for the majority, the minority becomes collateral damage. This might sound right until you begin to find yourself on the unfavorable side of the argument.